Good evening, class. Tonight we'll be starting Chapter 1, Principles of Management, Managers and Managing. So the question is, what is management? All managers work in organizations. Organizations are collections of people who work together and coordinate their actions to achieve a wide variety of goals or desired future outcomes. Managers are the individuals, the people responsible for supervising the use of organizational resources to meet their goals. Management is a conglomerate of 4 activities: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling of human and other resources. Human resources are your people that work for you. Other resources, plant, your computer system, for example, to achieve organizational goals effectively and efficiently. And we will discuss the difference between effective and efficient. Resources are your machinery, as I mentioned, raw materials, computers, human capital, financial capital, things of that nature. Of course, skills, know-how, your proprietary information that belongs to the company itself. Organizational performance is a measure of how efficiently and effectively managers use available resources to satisfy customers and achieve organizational goals. Now we're going to discuss the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. We'll start off with effectiveness first. Effectiveness is a measure of the appropriateness of the goals an organization is pursuing and the degree to which the organization achieves those goals. And what does it mean when I say the word appropriate? Meaning that there is an alignment between the organizational mission statement, for example, who we are and what we do, with the goal that they're trying to accomplish. If it's appropriate, then venture into it. Even if you have the money, that doesn't mean that you should actually opt for it. There are many things that we'd like to do, but that are not appropriate for us because perhaps it's against our belief system, religious or political, etc., or for whatever other reason that it just doesn't align with our lifestyle, and therefore we just won't aim for that goal. Efficiency is a measure of how well or how productively resources are used to achieve those goals. The next slide, figure 1.1, discusses different scenarios. You have high effectiveness, high efficiency, or low effectiveness and low efficiency or high effectiveness. You could look at that and it gives you different outcomes. We move on to the next slide. Why should we study management? Individuals generally learn through personal experience or the experiences of others. By studying management in school, you are exposing yourself to the lessons others have learned. The economic benefit of becoming a manager is also quite impressive. In the U.S., general managers earn a median wage of $97,730 with a projected growth rate in job openings of 5% to 8% between now and 2024. A very, very nice thing to get involved with, a beautiful salary. Learning management principles can help you make good decisions in non-work contexts. The 4 parts, or the 4 verbs, 4 actions of management. Number 1 is planning, choosing appropriate, and we mentioned what appropriate means, organizational goals and courses of action to best achieve those goals. Organizing, establishing task and authority, who's responsible for what, who can tell you what to do in an organization, and these relationships that allow people to work together to achieve organizational goals. Leading is motivating, coordinating, and energizing individuals and groups to work together to achieve organizational goals. Controlling, establishing accurate measures and monitoring systems to evaluate how well the organization has achieved its goals. Just as an exercise, think for yourself which of these 4 is most important and which one can you not delegate to others. It's a matter of opinion. Think about it and discuss it either through emails. You can send me professorrovt@gmail.com. Be a great discussion point and ask me my views. My view personally is that leading is the most important thing, because you could always hire somebody to plan for you, to organize the control. You can hire an accountant to look at your profits and losses. But leading is something, if you don't do yourself, then you basically hollowed yourself out. You're worthless. If you can't lead, then why are you in business? Just sit in an office all day and have somebody else run your company for you. Steps in the planning process: deciding which goals the organization will pursue, deciding what strategies to adopt to attain those goals, deciding how to allocate organizational resources properly so that the projects that you deem fit have proper funding. All right, we move on to organizing. Organizing is structuring working relationships so organizational members interact and cooperate to achieve organizational goals. Managers must decide how best to organize resources, particularly human resources, which is the part of the business that administers hiring, firing, benefits, and policies and procedures such as sexual harassment and fair hiring practices. Organizational structure, a formal system of task and reporting relationships that coordinates and motivates organizational members so that they work together to achieve organizational goals. And just remember that if you're organized, you will be motivated. There's nothing worse than coming into an organization where no one really knows what's going on, and there's just a lot of questions and ambiguity. Nobody likes working like that. Leading, articulating a clear vision, and energizing and enabling organizational members so that they understand the part they play in achieving organizational goals. It's very important for you to have relevance and understand what role you play within the organization. If you understand how important you are, you will behave differently and you will take on responsibilities and you will feel more indebted to the company and feel like you really, really have to put out more. Involves managers using their power, personality, influence, persuasion, and communication skills to coordinate people and groups. Controlling is evaluating how well an organization is achieving its goals and taking action to maintain or improve performance. The outcome of the control process is the ability to measure performance accurately and regulate organizational efficiency and effectiveness. Managers must decide which goals to measure and which ones not to measure. If you look at the next slide, managerial roles identified, we'll look at a few of them. Some of them are disturbance handlers, which is a decisional role, moving quickly to take corrective actions to deal with unexpected problems facing the organization from the external or internal environment. External environment, something happens like in the regulatory realm, or internally, there's a schism, there's factions that are formed, people are not getting along, there's problems with other managers. They're also a resource allocator, allocating resource among different tasks and different functions, negotiating, working with suppliers, distributors, and labor unions to reach agreements. Some of them are interpersonal, for example, being a leader, providing an example for employees to follow. Figurehead, outline future organizational goals to employees at company meetings, open a new corporate headquarters building, state the organization's ethical guidelines and principles. Informational, monitor, evaluate the performance of managers in different tasks and take corrective action to improve their performance. You could be a disseminator, inform employees about changes taking place in the external and internal environment, and that'll affect them and the organization. That's very important because if you don't disseminate information, people are going to start creating their own realities, which will definitely cause the rumor mill to churn out multiple rumors and cause great damage to the organization. Levels and skills of managers. Department is a group of managers and employees who work together and possess similar skills or use the same knowledge, tools, or techniques. Examples: manufacturing, accounting, engineering, or sales departments. The next one is figure 1.3, levels of management. At the top, you have the CEO, the chief executive officer, his top managers, his VPs, middle managers, his directors, and first-line managers. Could be assistant directors or supervisors dealing with the day-to-day operations with line workers. So you have levels of management. You have first-line managers responsible for the daily supervision of the non-managerial employees, your rank and file, if you will. Middle managers supervise first-line managers responsible for finding the best way to use resources to achieve organizational goals. Top managers responsible for performance of all departments, establish organizational goals, decide how different departments should interact, monitor how well middle managers in each department use resources to achieve goals. If you look at figure 1.4, it'll show you how different levels of management, how much time they spend on planning, organizing, leading, controlling. For example, top managers will spend a lot of time on planning, whereas in the organizational realm, it'll pretty much be that the top managers will spend a lot less time than, let's say, middle managers organizing. But if you look at leading, for example, most leadership will happen on the granular level, will happen at a lower level in first-line managers. Take a look at figure 1.4, relative amount of time managers spend on 4 managerial tasks to give you a better perspective. Let's look at managerial skills, conceptual skills, the ability to analyze and diagnose a situation and distinguish between cause and effect. And it's very important to know the difference between cause and effect. You want to treat the ailment, not the symptom. You have to understand what is causing the problem. Human skills, the ability to understand, alter, lead, and control the behavior of other individuals and groups. You must possess technical skills, job-specific skills required to perform a particular type of work or occupation at a high level. You also need to have core competency, which is a specific set of departmental skills, abilities, knowledge, and experience that allows one organization to outperform its competitors. Skills for competitive advantage, which are necessary to set you apart from your competition. Restructuring, downsizing, which is an ugly word, laying off an organization by eliminating the jobs of large numbers of top, middle, and first-line managers and non-managerial employees. Outsourcing, contracting with another company, usually in a low-cost country abroad, to perform a work activity the company previously performed itself. Empowerment, this is very important, empowering your employees, giving employees more authority and responsibility over how they perform their work activities. It makes them feel more responsible, it makes them feel that they're important, and it puts the burden on them so that they feel like they have to do the work well, they feel like they have to answer to you. The less empowerment you give, the more you micromanage, the more that workers will realize you don't trust them, and of course, the more work you'll have, and you'll never have a work-life balance because you'll always be at work because you don't trust anybody, and as such, you'll have to do all your work after everyone leaves. It's not a life. It's not a good way to manage. Challenges for management in a global environment: building a competitive advantage, maintaining ethical and socially responsible standards, managing a diverse workforce, utilizing information technology, IT, and e-commerce, practicing global crisis management. Building competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is defined as the ability of one organization to outperform other organizations because it produces desired goods or services more efficiently and effectively than its competitors. Innovation, the process of creating new or improved goods and services or developing better ways to produce or provide them. Figure 1.6, the building blocks of competitive advantage. At the core, you have the competitive advantage, and the satellites, the orbiting circles, are efficiency, innovation, responsiveness to customers. Customers want to feel that they're important, that you listen to them, and of course, quality. Turnaround management. Turnaround management, creation of a new vision for a struggling company using a new approach to planning and organizing to make better use of company's resources to allow it to survive and eventually prosper. Maintaining ethical and socially responsible standards. Managers are under considerable pressure to make the best use of resources. Too much pressure may induce managers to behave unethically and even illegally. Look at Enron. Look at Wells Fargo of recent times. Managing a diverse workforce. To create a highly trained and motivated workforce, managers must establish human resource management, otherwise known as HRM procedures that are legal and fair and do not discriminate against organizational members. Practicing global crisis management. A couple of criteria: create teams to facilitate rapid decision-making and communication. Establish the organizational chain of command and reporting relationships necessary to mobilize a fast response. Recruit and select the right people to lead and work in such teams. Develop bargaining and negotiating strategies to manage the conflicts that arise. The rest of the slides are appendices going over what we studied already. And this is the end of Chapter 1, Principles of Management. Thank you very much for tuning in, and stay tuned for further PowerPoint presentations.